My wife's friendship with her best friend completely fell apart last week, and in the fallout, I discovered she had been cheating on me. I feel like I'm stuck in a dark, lonely place right now. Hey Reddit. Last week, everything changed in my life. The world I knew came crashing down, and it all started with a friendship, the one between my wife, Rachel, and her best friend, Megan. The two of them had been inseparable for as long as I could remember. They shared everything, their dreams, their fears, their inside jokes, their hearts. I thought it was one of those unbreakable friendships, something that would always be there to anchor Rachel when things got tough. But last week, that friendship completely fell apart, and with it, everything I thought I knew about my marriage and my wife. It began innocuously enough. Megan and Rachel had been arguing more frequently over the past few months. I didn't think much of it. They'd always had their disagreements, and I figured it was just another one of their phases. But the tension in their relationship reached a boiling point last week. Rachel came home one night after a heated argument with Megan. She didn't talk about it much, which wasn't like her. Usually, when something bothered her, she would confide in me. But this time, she was distant. She seemed almost relieved that Megan wasn't in her life anymore. And yet, there was something about Rachel's demeanor that told me she wasn't as okay as she appeared. She acted like she was fine, but I could sense there was more beneath the surface. I didn't want to push her too much, so I let it be. But that night, something inside me told me to check her phone. It wasn't that I didn't trust her, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. When she went to take a shower, I made the decision I never thought I'd make. I unlocked her phone. What I found made my blood run cold. At first, it was just casual messages, texts between her and Megan about their usual plans. But as I scrolled through, I stumbled upon something else, something that shattered the image I had of my wife. There were a series of messages from an unknown number. At first, I thought it was just a misstyled text or a wrong number, but then I started to read them. The words hit me like a freight train. I miss you. Can't wait to see you tonight. I've been thinking about you all day. I felt my heart sink into my stomach. I couldn't breathe. The realization hit me slowly, painfully. Rachel wasn't just talking to Megan anymore. She was seeing someone else, someone who had been sending her messages filled with longing and desire. I scrolled back to the first message. There it was, proof of an affair. A relationship that had been hidden from me, one I had never suspected. The more I read, the more it became clear. Rachel had been cheating on me. She had been sneaking behind my back, texting this person, meeting them, and hiding it all from me. I had no idea how long this had been going on, but I knew one thing for sure: the woman I thought I knew, the woman I had built my life with, was someone I didn't recognize anymore. The hours I spent looking through the messages felt like a blur. Each text was a knife to my chest, each word a betrayal I could barely process. I tried to focus on anything other than the pain, but it consumed me. I couldn't stop reading, even though I knew it was destroying me inside. Finally, I closed the phone and sat there in the silence. I was too numb to cry, too angry to think clearly. I couldn't even look at Rachel the same way anymore. How could I? When she came back into the room, she could tell something was wrong. She looked at me, her face pale. She must have seen the storm in my eyes because she asked, "What's going on? What's wrong?" I couldn't speak at first. I didn't know how to say what I had just discovered. How could I? How could I tell the woman I loved that I knew she had been unfaithful to me? How could I confront her about something that would shatter everything we had? I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. The words felt like they were stuck in my throat, but I finally managed to say, "I know about him, Rachel. I know what you've been doing." Her face went ashen. She took a step back, and I could see the panic rising in her eyes. She opened her mouth to speak, but nothing came out. I handed her the phone, and as she read through the messages, I saw the guilt wash over her face. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered, but her words felt hollow. "It was a mistake. It didn't mean anything." I almost laughed, but it wasn't funny. "A mistake? Really, Rachel?" My voice cracked. "You've been cheating on me with someone, and now you want to tell me it was a mistake?" She looked down, unable to meet my gaze. Her shoulders slumped, and for the first time, I saw the weight of her actions on her face. "I'm so sorry," she said, but I didn't believe her. It was too late for apologies. "I didn't want to hurt you." "You already have," I replied, my voice cold. "You already have." I stood up and walked out of the room, my head spinning. I needed to get away from her, away from the house, away from everything. My whole world felt like it had been turned upside down in the span of a few hours. The woman I had trusted more than anyone had betrayed me in the most painful way possible. And now, I was left alone, with nothing but the dark, hollow feeling of loss. I spent the next few days in a daze. Rachel tried to talk to me, to apologize, but I couldn't bring myself to hear her. How could I? She had shattered my trust in a way that could never be repaired. I couldn't look at her without seeing the lies, the deceit, and the betrayal. I felt stuck in a dark, lonely place. The man I had been before this discovery felt like a stranger to me now. I couldn't even recognize myself. The pain was overwhelming, and I didn't know where to go from here. I didn't know how to move forward. All I knew was that I was no longer the same person, and my marriage was broken beyond repair. As the days passed, I found myself asking questions I couldn't answer. How long had this affair been going on? Was Rachel ever really the woman I thought she was? And could I ever trust her again? The answers remained elusive, and for now, all I could do was exist in this painful limbo. Rachel begged me to forgive her, but I didn't know if I could. The hurt was too deep. I didn't know how to heal, how to trust, or how to find my way back to the life I once had. All I knew was that I was stuck in a place of darkness, trying to find my way out. But for now, I have no answers. Only the heavy silence between us and the crushing weight of betrayal that I can't shake off.